hello, and welcome back to the CharlieB studio. My name is Charlene, better known as CharlieB, and I am so glad that you took out the time to join me tonight. Everyone, grab a friend and come on in because we have a very special episode for you tonight. I have the amazing and the wonderful, my dear friend who dealt with me, what was it, 2018?
Yeah.
We met, but not officially. Mr. Morshad, how do you say your last name?
Hossain.
Hossain.
Yeah.
Morshad Hossain. He is let me explain something to you. He's not just a real estate agent. He is the king. I'm going to say that. He's the king of real estate. Mr. Morshad Hossain, everyone say hello. Say hello to the peoples.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate everyone's time here. 2018, it feels like was that pre-COVID or?
That
right
was
COVID?
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
And COVID knocked us all off of our feet. And thank goodness we were already in the home, right?
Well, you bought at a really good time because it was right around COVID time when home prices started skyrocketing.
Isn't that crazy? How was that?
It
when
happened,
the world was falling apart.
Yeah. It started, so the first, I want to say 6 to 9 months of COVID, it was very confusing. It was confusing for buyers. It was confusing for sellers. Right. It was confusing for real estate agents, for everyone in the industry, as I'm sure as it was confusing for everyone everywhere because the entire world, it wasn't just one or two individuals, it was the entire world that had to adapt.
The entire world.
Yeah. So the first 6 to 9 months, everyone was like kind of figuring out, all right, how do we go about still letting people in to come see our home?
Right.
But there's this contagious disease that's out there or virus.
Right.
And then sellers who are already under contract, where do we go next?
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so it was a very crazy time, but during those 6 to 9 months, it really shifted the industry as a whole.
Okay.
So there were a lot of companies that were holding on to physical paper and whatnot for everything. And the companies that had kind of embraced having a digital presence.
Okay.
Utilizing the cloud brokerage and kind of weaning themselves off of the traditional brokerage model of being in a physical location, having physical everything.
Right.
Those companies really thrived. And then the companies that were still very traditional, holding on to the old ways of doing things, they were forced to adapt.
Wow.
So that's when
that
we
makes
started.
sense.
We started doing virtual tours, something that no one could think of before. Like, virtual tour, what's that?
Oh my goodness,
like,
yes.
Yeah, you're somewhere. I'm gonna go into the property. I'm gonna FaceTime you, and I'm gonna show you around.
Right.
Closing started happening virtually. So a lot of different things and shifts began to take place. But the reason for the skyrocketing was there was a shortage of homes on the market. So basic economics of supply and demand. Then along with that, in order to stimulate the economy, because there was this entire scare of the COVID pandemic would destroy the economy.
Yes.
Let's send out these stimulus checks, if you remember.
Yes, I remember.
Every now and then my wife still says, I hope we get another stimulus check out of nowhere. But those stimulus checks, and then lowering the mortgage rates.
Oh, yes.
Down to like, I think 2.5, unheard of. And that supercharged the economy or the housing market to the point where people were outbidding one another, kind of fighting with one another.
Wow.
And I remember because I sold my home in 2021. That was COVID time. And then I bought my new home.
Right.
Even being an agent, I lost out on like 4 or 5 offers. And then finally the 5th offer, we made it in there.
Right.
But it was very competitive. It was a very challenging time. But yeah, I'm glad. There were definitely some positive things that we walked away with at COVID time.
pros and cons. Well, first, before we go, you dove right in, and I appreciate that. But what I want to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
I want you to introduce yourself.
Sure.
Tell everybody who you are, and then we're going to get busy talking about homeownership.
Yeah, so my name's Morshad. I've been a full-time real estate agent for the past 9 years. I emphasize full-time because it is so easy for a person to complete the 75-hour mandatory course and get a real estate license.
Okay.
I know off the top of my head 10 to 15 people who have their real estate license, whether it's active or inactive, or maybe they just hang it with a company, a brokerage that charges them, where they have no monthly fees. So it's like real estate agents or real estate licensees are a dime a dozen.
Right.
Like literally. And whenever I speak to people, I speak to clients or potential clients that I'm interviewing and speaking to, and they're like, well, why should we go with you? My cousin has his real estate license.
Talk about that, please.
Or, my sister-in-law just got a real estate license. And that's fine. But I always like to emphasize this is what I've been doing for the past 9 years, full-time, not as my side hustle or my side gig or during the weekends. This has been my primary source of income for myself and my family, with 3 kids. So there's a lot at stake. So when I say that this is what I've been doing for the past 9 years full-time, it's to emphasize that this is not something, it's not a recreational activity. It's something I take seriously. It's my career. It's my profession. I pride myself on it. And that's essentially what I tell potential clients. I tell them, listen, you're more than welcome to hire someone else, hire a family member or whatnot. But when you're doing so, and maybe we'll talk about this later, that how do you pick a good real estate agent? It's not just always about do they have a license or how long have they had their license. It's about how many transactions have they done in the last 6 months, in the last 12 months. You'll be surprised to find a lot of agents who had their license for 30 years. But how many deals have you done in the past 12 months? Maybe just 2. So
isn't that interesting? I know I have a cousin who has a real estate license, and she's an active realtor in Georgia.
Okay.
So there's a difference between my cousin, who's an active real estate agent like yourself, and killing the game, and then another cousin who's like, oh, let me sell your house because I got my real estate license too, and I'm like, simmer down. Simmer down.
Exactly.
Like you can't just have a license. Because, like you said, it's easy to get.
It's very easy to get, and so many
Shout out to Sonny.
So many people get it, thinking that it's taking the 75-hour course and getting the license is all I need in order to build a successful real estate business. That's just one of the preliminary steps, like how you would need to have an LLC when you're opening up a business.
Okay.
Just because you go through the process of putting together an LLC doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a successful business.
You got that right.
That's just one step.
Yes.
Getting your license is just one step. Real estate class just teaches you how to protect yourself legally and not do anything wrong, and ethics and whatnot. But in terms of building the business, building a book of clientele, all that stuff you got to learn. And although you can't necessarily go to school for real estate, there are so many courses and mentors and coaches that are out there. I know myself, from when I started till now, I still have coaches and mentors that I pay for. Right. Because this is all part of your education. Right. You know? So yeah, that's we kind of veered off topic, but
it's part of the importance of understanding that buying a home is one of the biggest decisions that we're going to make in our lives. Yeah. My mama said buying a home and getting married.
Yeah.
or because jobs, you can change jobs,
Sure.
but buying a home and getting married are two of the biggest decisions that you're ever going to make, and you can't go into it carelessly, and
Yeah.
so many people do. So I think the education part of it, and maybe we can start there. I have some questions for you, but the pros and the cons of purchasing a home. How do we know when we're ready to make that decision?
Yeah. So I think back in the day, buying a home was an extremely big decision.
Yeah.
Because it gave you permanence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the situation anymore. I'm not saying it's not important, or making that decision doesn't require due diligence. It does. But if we look at statistics now conducted by National Association of Realtors, the average lifespan of a mortgage is about 5 to 7 years. So
really,
people are moving and selling within 5 to 7 years. It's not the way it used to be before, where you buy a home and you live there till you die for the next 30, 40,
that's
50
what
years.
I'd like to do, Morshad.
So, yeah.
That's incredible that you said that, because I didn't think about it that way.
That's what
I hate moving, Morshad.
We all do, but the thing is, because we live in such a fast-paced world now,
Right.
people's jobs are changing.
Okay.
Kids grow up.
Yes.
They need to go to a different school. Families are always moving because, my kid needs to go to this particular high school.
Right. That is so true.
Or, hey, I just got relocated, or whatever the case.
Right.
So, things are much more fast-paced now.
Yeah.
And it's an eye-opener for many people, for buyers especially, when I tell them, well, listen, it's a 30-year loan, but I'm going to stay here 30 years.
Okay.
You might end up leaving the next 5.
Right. Dear Lord.
The amount of buyers that I have who need to sell a home that they bought just 4 years ago, it is ridiculous.
Really?
They bought their home 4 years ago thinking, this is where I'm going to stay. I bought my first home 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I moved in 2021. So 3 years later.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm in my new home now, and I already have plans that 2 or 3 years from now I'm going to move as well. So it's just the nature of the world that we live in today.
So people are no longer, I'm buying this home, this could be the family home, and the kids are going to live in this home, and my grandbabies are going to be raised in this home. Nobody's doing that anymore.
Not that I'm aware of.
I must be old.
The only people that I see who say this is it for me are people who are just ready to retire.
Okay.
Retire both out of work and retire out of life as well.
Wow.
My next home is going to be my coffin. That's literally what they say.
Man, that's mine. See, I'm learning.
I just had a young couple in their mid-30s. They bought a home in Philadelphia 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they just sold that and bought their new home in Voorhees last week. So that's not even 5 years, that's 2.5 years.
Right.
So yeah. But going back to the point.
Wow.
Although home buying is a big decision,
right?
Because there's so many moving
parts. It ain't
parts.
that big no more.
And it's because it's like, hey, I'm here. Do I want to move?
Right.
And am I going to stay here for the next 20 years, 30 years? Most people are not looking at home buying like that anymore. Once upon a time, I think home buying gave sort of permanence in the community. It made someone feel established to a certain degree.
Yeah.
To a degree that's there.
Pride to it, like a homeowner. Yeah.
That's there, but I think it's not as strong as it was before.
Okay.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't really know. I can't really comment on that. But going into the pros and cons of buying.
Yeah.
And how does one know if they're ready to buy? Realtors are always accused, or always accused of um, overemphasizing the importance of home ownership.
Yes.
I think that's true to a certain degree, but that's not what we're going to do today.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the pros and the cons, because there are definitely cons, like with anything in life.
Right.
How does one know when they're ready to buy? And I want to start by saying that there is no right or wrong answer, because it's very circumstantial.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two, it depends on what's important to you as the individual.
Right.
For some individuals, owning a home is not important to them. They would rather utilize the money for other things. There's this, what a lot of people, especially younger folks, what they really admire now is just having flexibility and freedom.
Mm-hmm.
To just be able to leave, and having a home kind of ties you down.
Right.
Much more than it would if you were, let's say, renting.
Right.
Although
the responsibility of it, or the
everything.
Okay.
Right. So let's start off with, is it the right time to buy? Okay. So right now, home values are high.
Right.
Right now, interest rates are high. Mm-hmm. They're hovering around the high sixes. And there's still a shortage of homes on the market. Depending on who you are as an individual, if you come to me and you say, hey, I'm looking to buy a home, is it the right decision for me? The first question I ask is, well, where are you right now? If the individual says, well, I'm 23 years old, I'm living with my parents, and I want to go and buy my own home now. Right. For someone like that, I would ask them, well, why do you want to buy your own home? You're living for free, essentially. Right. Or even if you're, let's say, contributing to your family's household, it's very minimal compared to having a full-blown mortgage. I would tell that the young 23, 25-year-old who doesn't have any dependents, you're much better off taking your money, saving it, right, and investing it in somewhere else, because your primary residence, and this is again, realtors love saying this all the time. Realtors love saying your home is your biggest investment. Not really. When you actually put on a spreadsheet what you pay for your primary residence versus what you get back, it's actually a very bad investment.
Pause. This is a real estate agent telling people it's not a good time to buy a home. That, for me, that speaks volumes to your character. Because you hear the real estate agents, they want that, what's it, 10%? Sure. They want to make sure they don't care what you buy, what they get you, and it could be holes in the walls. And they're like, I think you can make it work out.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying it's a bad time to buy a home. I'm just saying that notion that's out there, that your primary residence is your best or biggest investment you'll ever make, I think that's a little bit misleading.
No, what I'm saying is, as a real estate agent, you're giving people your honesty and not just taking their money for your percent. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just wanted to pause and acknowledge that, because
thank you. So there's two things to that. Number one is, firstly, people are smart enough to make their own decisions. Right. What I've learned from dealing with people, real estate is more about people than it is about selling the property. The property is the easy thing. It's the people. What I've learned is the best way to kind of bulletproof a deal, meaning how do we ensure that the deal does not fall apart halfway through, is by having the buyers and the sellers 100% commitment into the deal. Okay. So as we're walking through the property, or even when we're doing a buyer consultation, I'm bringing up every single possible objection. Right. I'm throwing at them. I would rather
Wow.
have them handle that objection right now and say, thank you for bringing it to my attention. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
We want to get through all of that before we even put in the offer, before we
Mhm.
start even going out. Because what I don't want is taking this buyer around, showing them 20, 30 homes, and they say, you know what? It's not the right time for me.
Ooh.
Why? Well, because taxes are too high. Well, if we just had that conversation right from the beginning,
Right.
brought to your attention all these different pitfalls, all these different
Yes.
cons, all these different objections,
Right.
and I was able to help you make that decision in a 1-hour consultation call,
Mm-hmm.
it would have saved you a lot of time. It would have saved me a lot of time.
For sure.
Same thing with when we're walking through a home. I'm in the home looking for any possible fault
Right.
and pointing that out to the buyer, because we want to know right off the bat whether or not you're going to be 100% committed to this deal, instead of halfway through where the home inspector points out something that's very visible that I could have pointed out. So
interesting. So that's why you pull out your flashlight.
Yeah.
Like,
That's why I
let me
always
see
carry
that.
that flashlight. Yep. But to your point, yeah, it's like going back to that 25-year-old who says, I want to buy a home.
Right.
It's, why do you want to buy a home?
Mm-hmm.
You're living practically for free. You can be utilizing that money and redirecting it to a much more lucrative, profitable investment vehicle. You can buy an investment property.
Right.
Why do you necessarily need to buy your own place?
I love that.
And it's the same thing with a personal residence is somewhat similar to buying a brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
A brand new car is not a good investment.
I've been told.
Yeah, because it depreciates. But at least, I do want to mention this, that despite a person's primary residence not being the best performing investment,
mm-hmm.
the one thing that separates real estate from a vehicle is that at least the real estate will continue to appreciate.
Right.
So there's this huge debate between whether or not people should even consider their primary home as an investment. There are a lot of people out there who are not financially savvy.
Right.
Who don't know that they can buy stocks, who don't know that they can redirect some of their money into a stock portfolio, index funds, all that stuff. Or they just don't care. They don't want to do that. The only asset that they have is their primary residence.
Right.
I've worked with many people who they're in their 60s, 70s. The only asset, the only equity they have is the equity in their home.
Wow.
They don't have a 401k. They don't have any life savings. They don't have a retirement account. Nothing like that.
Wow.
The only saving grace is, hey, I have $150,000 of equity in my home. So for an individual like that, did they make a good move buying real estate? Yes.
Right.
But for the person who is somewhat financially savvy,
mm-hmm.
where, hey, if my monthly payment for my home is $2,500,
mm-hmm.
but I don't necessarily need this. I can just stay home with my parents, even pay them $500. Now I have $2,000 left over. If I take $2,000 and redirect that into an index fund,
right.
like a Vanguard index fund,
right.
and I do that for 2 years, that's 24,000. So 12 times, that's $48,000.
Right.
So that means in 2 years he would have redirected $48,000
mm-hmm.
into an index fund, which over time will just grow and grow and grow.
Right.
Now, at the same time, you have individuals that $2,500 they have, the $500 they're paying to their parents, the other $2,000 they're not investing it; they're just blowing it.
Right. They don't even know where it's going.
they're just another 200-300 just going on subscriptions for Netflix, Hulu, or whatever the case.
Right.
Another $900 to $1,000 going on their car lease, and then just eating out. Right. So for that kind of person, go buy a house.
Hurry.
Right, because for that kind of person, if you're not, if you're not redirecting your money, it's going to waste.
Right.
At least
blowing it. Yeah.
At least you're directing that money to an investment, even if that investment isn't performing as well as an index fund or a rental property investment. It's still somewhat appreciating. You're still bringing down the mortgage. You're still gaining ownership to it. So it's like the next best thing that a person can do.
Wow.
Right. So at least that's for the youngsters.
I like that. Question, it's on topic but a little bit off. Do you do classes by any chance? Because it sounds like you need to be teaching folks this stuff.
On what?
On decision making. Should I buy a home? Should I not buy a home?
I don't do
when
classes.
When is a good time to buy a home?
Yeah.
And all that.
I don't do classes on it, but whenever someone approaches me about buying a home, we do have like a buyer consultation and whatnot. But here's the thing. Most of the people that I meet are not 25-year-old young adults. Most of the people that I meet are in their 30s or mid-30s, like around my age, and they're already renting. Okay. They're renting and they're paying. Right now, a 2-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom condo is going for $2,000 a month. So
2 bedrooms.
Yeah. So I know there's a bunch of.
Where have I been?
Yeah.
Oh, in my home because. Wow.
Yeah.
That's painful.
I'm getting ready to put up a 3-bedroom townhome in Hainesport, which is not too far from us. 3-bedroom, it's 1,600 square feet. We're putting that on the market for $3,000. So,
and you're connected to somebody. You don't even have a backyard, really.
No, somewhat of a backyard.
It's a townhome.
Yeah.
That's connected to another home.
Yeah, the backyard is minimal.
Wow.
But most of the people that I deal with are people that are in their late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s.
Right.
And they're already renting. And they're paying $2,000, $3,000.
Dear Lord.
I'm working with a school teacher at the moment. Mm-hmm. She's been renting for the last 20 years. And
content with that.
And finally she's ready to buy. So for someone like that, it's like, what would have been the better decision? You've been, and I know for sure
you're not getting any of that back.
And it's not like she was renting because, there's always this theoretical argument.
Yeah.
That, okay, I can find a cheaper rental. So let's say if a mortgage for a 3-bedroom home is $3,500.
Right.
A home that's in the price of $400,000, 3 bedrooms, 2,000 square feet is $3,500.
Right.
If I can find something similar and rent it for $2,500, I'm saving $1,000. Not to mention I don't have to do a lot of the upkeep because the landlord is doing it, right? Mm-hmm. So in theory, you're saving $1,000, and like the young adult, what are you doing with the $1,000? Right. Most people are not redirecting.
Right, they're not worried about that.
Most people are taking that $1,000 and using it, eating out, recreation, all that stuff. So it really boils down to, as an individual, how financially savvy you are and how financially disciplined you are. Some people are very financially savvy, but they're not disciplined. So
I know some of those people.
So on paper, on theory, you can make all the argument and all the all the arguments you want about why home ownership is bad, or why it would make much more sense if you rented out a smaller apartment, redirected the extra funds into an index fund and whatnot.
Right.
And
if you're going to do that.
If you're actually going to do it.
Yeah.
It's the same way where someone can say, someone can go on ChatGPT and say, and type in, give me a workout plan that's going to help me lose 20 pounds in 2 months. That's great, but are you really going to do it? Most people need something that they'll actually do.
Right.
So I say this because, again, on one hand, I'm saying buying a home is not, it's a very bad performing investment.
Okay.
Like when you compare it to paper.
Right.
Like your primary residence versus what if you took that money and put it in stock markets or mutual funds or whatever. On paper, your primary residence is actually a very bad performing investment account. But for many people, that's the only investment they're ever going to do because they don't have the financial tact or savviness and the discipline needed to actually do the optimal thing out there.
Right.
So that's kind of where it boils down to. It's like, what's on paper, what's the best thing to do versus in practical, for all practical purposes, what is someone really going to do?
Right.
Right.
Have you ever had to say to someone, I'm sure you've had to say it, but I want to know what the conversation looks like. You're not ready. Come back when you're ready. And they'll probably go to somebody else and they tell them, well, they said I am ready. But how does that conversation go? Credit, money saved, where the interest rates are now, location, taxes, all those things. You're not ready to buy a home.
So
right
that's more of a conversation that people have with their loan officer. Now, when I'm dealing with clients, depending on how close I am to them, I have to be kind of careful in the sense where I'm not projecting my own worldview on them. Okay. In the sense where I have sometimes young couples who don't have any kids and they're shopping around for a 5,000 square feet home. And I'm scratching my head. I'm like, you're not going to use all the space, number one. Right. Number two, you're buying a home that is so overly inflated. You're paying so much in taxes. You can take all that money and redirect it somewhere else.
I know people are doing that right now.
But how much of that am I allowed to say to them?
Right. Okay, I got you.
It's not about, hey, I'm your realtor, I'm going to look out for you. No, it's like if someone wants to have that sort of life where, hey, I'm going to buy a $150,000 car. I'm going to have a 5,000 square feet home because this is what I want. It's not a matter of...
what would you tell them if you could?
So...
I have people in my life right now that got a little piece of money, a little, let's call it inheritance.
Sure.
And, when you come from little and you get a lot, that's almost the worst thing that can happen for you in your life. And now they're ready to just go buying this house that's unnecessary. And I can't get through to them. Yeah. My husband can't get through to them. And I just want to shake him and say, no!
Dealing with individuals like that in a very subtle, tactful manner, I'll say, hey, are you sure you guys want something like this where the property taxes are so high?
Right.
Where your monthly payments are so high? Have you considered have you considered looking at a home that's a little bit smaller, maybe taxes are a little bit lower? How do you guys feel about that? Mm-hmm. But I can only push them so much.
Right.
On one hand, I'm not encouraging them, but at the same time, I am trying to dissuade them. But after a certain point, it's like I'm crossing a fine line between projecting my worldview and my biases on them when they don't want any of that.
So here's what I say.
Yeah.
Money runs out fast.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like you plan on saving any of it. doesn't look like you plan on investing any of it. You're just gonna spend it all, right? Once you spend it all, what are you gonna do then? It's gonna be gone, and you're not gonna be able to afford the house that you're about to purchase or rent. So, no, don't do it.
Having dealt with as many people as I have, I've come to the conclusion that people are only going to listen to themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. And no matter what you tell them, no matter how you explain it to them,
yeah.
Once they've made their mind up, it's just a matter of confirmation bias.
Right.
Well, that other person's doing it. This other person's doing it. And they're using every single piece of evidence or clue and interpreting it to confirm their existing bias already.
Right. Very true.
Especially if it's someone that I don't have a really good connection with,
right.
like on a personal level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, and I say this about myself as well, like there are many things that I've learned along the way. I've read about it or someone told me about it, but it didn't really click until I had to go through that painful experience. I'm like,
oh, that's good.
I'm like, I read about this. Someone told me about this
right.
before. But it's only going through that painful experience, like, okay, now I get it.
It's like that my mama was right about everything.
Exactly.
Situation.
Right? Yeah.
Why did not listen?
So
yeah,
that's what it is. So you can only tell people so much.
That's true.
Before it's like, hey, this is not your money, not your life.
Right.
So stop acting like it is. Right?
And then it's the sad part is like when you see, it's like, you know that there's an accident down there. Don't go that way, and they go that way anyway, and they run into the pit. There's sometimes people have to learn the hard way. And just go by experience.
I mean, at that point, what it boils down for me as an agent
experience,
is simply just ensuring that I do my job 100% in helping them navigate through the. I'm not here to help someone make a decision that is right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to give them facts. I'm here to give them data that is as objective as possible so that they can take that data, interpret it however they want, and arrive to a conclusion that is right for them.
Wow, that's good.
So when I go and meet with a seller, for example, the last thing I try to do is inflate the value of a home.
Oh, thank you.
I tell them, this is what we're seeing. This is the data. This is how many days a home needs to be on the market before it goes under contract. Mm-hmm. This is the average sales price.
Right.
Here's all the data. If you made the decision to work with me, here's everything you can expect. Now that you have all this information, you take the time to decide how you want to utilize this information and whether or not putting your home on the market is the right decision or staying in your home is the right decision.
Right.
So that boils down to when I'm working with buyers as well.
Right.
I'll go over with them, hey, pros and cons. Here's the pros of buying such a large home, which it's just two of you may not use. Here's the pros of doing that. Now, after I've given them the pros and cons and data that's as objective as possible, it's a matter of, okay, what's the right decision for you?
Right, for them.
So, I'll tell you for myself, in theory, can I move into a smaller home and save that money and redirect that money into like index funds or whatnot? Mm-hmm. Yes, I could, in theory. In practice, no. Because in practice, I work from home, work out of home. I have 3 kids, so I need as much space as possible.
Got it.
I can, my quality of life for myself, my wife, and my kids would go down tremendously if we were squished into a 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom home.
Right.
Where nonstop running, clutter everywhere.
Yes.
So there's the practical aspect of it as well. There's one book that I highly recommend people read before they make the decision to buy a home. It's called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Okay. And The Psychology of Money, he really talks about, he touches on a topic which a lot of people, a lot of books on finances fail to touch on. And there's a chapter which is eye-opening for me, is what is right for you? What is reasonable for you? What's right and reasonable, and what makes sense for one person may not be right, reasonable, and it may not make sense for another person.
For sure.
So it's a matter of, in life, there's always going to be trade-offs. What are you willing to trade off?
Right. Wow.
Right. And that's what it boils down to. So his book really helped me understand that, okay, some people are, and just looking at all the decisions that I've made in life,
right?
Like, yeah, this is right for me. Could I have, house hacked? House hacking is where you buy a multi-family home and you live in one unit and you rent out the others.
Okay.
So it's a very nice financial strategy, because now not only are you living for free, but you're getting income.
Okay.
Could I do that? Yes, but I'd be stuck in a small 2-bedroom unit.
Could I? Doesn't mean I should.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
interesting.
I don't know if the audience is confused, right? Because it's like, on one hand I'm saying it's good, on the other hand I'm saying it's bad.
I don't think it's confusing at all, because it has to do with what's right for me.
Yeah.
For my family, I have a huge family. It's just me and George. My baby is 19. She's at college. She goes to college, and she comes home on the weekends.
Yeah.
But I have my grown daughter is at home. My son is home for right now. So can George and I live in a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom home without all the space that we have? Yes, we can. Will we? Absolutely not. You want to know why?
Yeah.
Because the way my marriage works is that George is in the den, Charlene is in the living room, and we come together whenever I feel like looking at him. Most of the time, we spend a lot of time separate in our home. But if I need to see him, I know where to go. Some people like being on top of each other all the time. I don't.
And that's really what it boils down to, because some people, finances and money trump everything.
Yeah.
I could live the most miserable life, but as long as, I'm making more money, it's fine.
Right.
Other people, it's a matter of, and there's always a balance, neither extreme is good.
Yeah.
But then there's other people who are all about convenience and luxury. The balance is, I think, how do you live a life that is comfortable?
Yes.
Not extravagant, but at the same time comfortable yet not extravagant. That's what it is.
I like it.
So going back to my own example, and I'm only giving my example because that's the example that I know the best.
Right.
In theory, can I move into a smaller home, do all that? Yeah. But I know for sure it's going to take a toll on me mentally.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to work properly. A lot of my expenses will go up because I have a gym at home, I have an office at home. Now I have to figure out, okay, I have to get a gym membership.
Right.
I have to rent out an office. So there's so many moving parts.
I like that.
Yeah. Like I said, the biggest thing is it's going to decrease. It's just gonna make my life miserable.
Right.
I'm not gonna be able to work.
I understand.
Right. I'm not gonna be able to work. So, yeah, for me on paper, again, it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But in practice, is it really like that?
And I think that's what we have to understand, is that I can't look at you and compare myself to you. There's a songwriter, that Jonathan McReynolds, and he sings "Comparison Kills."
Yeah.
So when I have a friend that is married but has no kids, and she's married but she doesn't have a big family. Yeah. I'm married, I have kids, and I have a big family. My sisters, this might as well be their second home. And then we love entertaining. George is too hospitable, if you ask me. Like, he does not mind company, and he'll throw food on the grill because it's Tuesday, right?
Sure.
So everybody's not like that.
Yeah.
I have a sister that's single, and she's happy with herself, by herself, because of herself.
Yeah.
So she can't come and like, oh, I'm gonna get a house like Charlene and George.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to live in our own, stay in our lane, live in our own situation, and know what's right for us.
It all boils down to understanding that in life there's always going to be trade-offs.
Right. Ooh.
Which trade-offs are you okay with?
Ooh, what are you willing to trade?
I know having my own home is costing me more than it would if I had to move into an apartment. But I'm okay with that trade-off. Because
absolutely,
there are so many net positives, and some of those net positives are not something that you can calculate on a spreadsheet. You're being able to come to your home and knowing that you live in a safe neighborhood and there's enough space. Your kids can go in the backyard and play.
Yes.
You cannot put that on a spreadsheet.
You can't put a price on it.
So again, is that the right decision for everyone? No. If I were single, I would be more than okay with living in a 1-bedroom condo.
Right.
Because it's just me. I'd redirect all my funds into an investment account.
Right.
But again, that's not my situation.
I love that.
What trade-offs am I willing to make? What battles am I willing to fight?
Right. Because you got to choose your battles.
Yeah.
Even the battles with yourself, you got to choose them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's, and that's what it boils down to. There is no right or wrong decision because everyone's situation is so unique and so circumstantial. And circumstantial is a big thing because it's like what an individual is going through in their late 20s is not the same thing that they're going to be going through in their late 30s, and you need to kind of adapt.
It's very true. Can we say that in a home? Like, I know I'm married, George and I have been married for 21 years. I'm not the same person that he married. We evolved, right?
Yeah.
And he's definitely not the same person that I married because we changed.
Exactly.
But homes change too.
Yep.
I mean, if we go back a little bit, you mentioned that home buying is different. It's not the same. People don't stay in their homes.
Yeah.
I would love to have this home forever and leave it to my children.
Yeah.
They probably end up selling it anyway.
They would. Yeah.
They would.
Yeah.
But that's how it used to be. So that's changing too. So if we think about how everything is evolving and life is changing, you mentioned that it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
How do we keep up when it comes to this home buyer thing and home selling?
Yeah. I mean, it's just one
because wait, Morshad, if I sell my home,
where do you go next?
Where am I going?
Yeah, exactly.
I sure am not gonna go live with my sister.
Yeah.
In her 1-bedroom or.
Exactly.
Oh goodness, there's so much to think about.
Yeah. So, I think if we wanted to just summarize everything that we've been talking about, it's figure out what your circumstances are right now, what's practical for you at the moment, what battles are you actually willing to fight, what trade-offs are you willing to live with.
Wow.
And based on that, for someone, renting might be a great decision. For others, buying their own home might be a great decision. There is no black and white answer.
Right.
There's a lot of books out there that talk about having spreadsheets and all this other stuff. Again, that boils down to what's important to you,
right.
What you're willing to trade off.
I like it.
So, but at the same time, again, like I said, moderation is always key. There is a fine line between extravagance and a fine line between being a penny pincher, where I read somewhere that if you buy something because you really like it, that's understandable. But if you buy something to impress others and looking for external validation, you're going down the road that never ends.
Never ends.
So it's one thing if a person buys a really nice watch or a really nice car because they just really admire
Right.
or really appreciate something like that.
Right.
But then it's another thing, they buy another individual who buys that car so that when they drive down, people give them attention.
Yeah.
It fills in a void. It fills in an internal void that they have in themselves, that I'm not worthy, and they need that external validation because of a material possession.
Right. And a void that will never be filled.
Because what happens when that car 2 years from now is no longer the flashy car? What happens when you pull up to another person who has a better car?
Right.
So,
oh goodness,
and I see that in home buying a lot. People buying homes that are more larger than what they need because of the 1 or 2 times throughout the year when they're going to host and they want everyone to come and say, wow, you live in this McMansion.
Right.
How impressive.
Oh,
and then
gosh.
The rest of the 99%, you're just either in your living room or the kitchen, and the rest of the home is never used. So it's also about, and that's not just home buying, but that's also the consumer driven and materialistic world that we live in today, just knowing why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
Is it because you really want to do it, or is it because you're looking for validation or attention from someone else?
Right.
But that's a deeper conversation that someone needs to have with themselves.
Yeah, and one, it sounds like you need to write a book of books because you're like a plethora of information. And 2, I think we need to do a part 2 because
Probably.
This is too much.
Yeah.
And we really haven't even scratched the surface, Morshad.
No.
We haven't talked about what's going on today, what's the right decision for today, how do we go into homeownership today, and like all the things that we talked about beforehand. And I'm thinking that
I'll just quickly go over some of the pros and cons of homeownership.
Okay.
I think because that was something that we were supposed to definitely discuss. So some of the pros of homeownership is it gives you some sort of stability, some sort of permanence.
Okay.
It gives you an asset that, whether or not it's a well-performing asset, that's a different story. But nevertheless, it's an asset that you're directing your money into. It gives you a sense of privacy. It offers you privacy. It gives you a sense of stability and peace.
Okay.
And at least for the most part, I think if we're just looking at renting versus your mortgage,
right?
It's so the idea of, hey, I'm going to find a similar property and go rent it for a lower price. That's not happening. And not in this.
That's
not in this area, right? Maybe in some other areas. Yeah, maybe you can find a much smaller,
right?
But not the same thing. So those are all the pros, right? It gives people a sense of stability, peace of mind. They have an asset that they're working with, all that stuff. Now, what are the cons?
I think there are way more.
There could be, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The cons of homeownership is there's an added level of responsibility.
Yep.
So, and you don't realize that until you move in. Now you got to worry about the lawn. You got to worry about, okay, something is leaking, or you're responsible for that. You don't just call your landlord, right?
That's right. You are the landlord. You're going to call yourself
yeah.
George.
Yeah. So, that's that. Another con I would say is, let's say you have to move. Now you're worried about, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
Do I hold on to it? Do I sell it? What are the expenses of selling? All this other stuff, right? Whereas renting, it's a little bit more straightforward. So on a high level view, those are the pros and cons. And again, this is, there's so many other moving parts in terms of whether or not it's the right decision for you, all that stuff, right? But these are really the pros and cons that I can think of off the top of my head. But if there's anyone in the audience that is kind of on the fence about whether or not they should buy and they want to reach out to me, then we can definitely, set up a time to call, schedule that. And,
you want to leave your information?
Is there a way that you could put that up online?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you can tell them how to reach you. If you want to give your
The best way to reach me
commercial?
is the best way to reach me is just you can text me. My number is 267-642-4821. Again, that's 267-642-4821. Shoot me a text, call me. Pretty responsive, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. So, in closing, we're gonna close it out tonight. We're gonna have to do a part 2.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because I got one to do, like I have one to do the questions that I need to ask, and I'm not even gonna go into it tonight, because it's not even related to the things that we talked about tonight, and I want everything that we started out with to sink in.
Absolutely, that's important.
Should I? Shouldn't I? And why? Why would I? Because buying a home and being a homeowner it sounds cool and it's great, but it's a whole lot more to it.
There's a lot of responsibility.
Right, it really is. And I'm grateful that George and I have been homeowners for the last however many years, but it's pretty heavy at times, you know. But I want to, in closing, just you speak to the audience and tell them, if you like your last closing words. If you could, something that you could say to somebody that you wouldn't be able to say if you were speaking to them directly, and now's your opportunity. Don't do it, kind of thing. Or if it is, do it. What would you say?
I would say, not just home buying, but everything in life. I think we really need to just step aside and spend more time getting to know ourselves better.
So good, Morshad.
Because we're so hyper connected and plugged in all the time that we don't get a chance to really think about what it is what we want for ourselves. We're either always listening to something, watching something, or reading something. We have this information overload.
Right.
And it's not just information, it's information. Every single piece of information has some sort of agenda behind it, trying to influence us.
Yeah.
So if we're constantly being influenced and inspired by other people, we never have the time to really think about what it is that makes sense for us and what will put us at harmony, so to say. So we're always looking at, okay, what do I need? What kind of car do I have to have? Or what kind of house do I have to have? What does my appearance have to look like in order to satisfy other people?
Ooh.
So it's not just with house buying, but it's with everything. So really taking time to kind of unplug, disconnect, and really listen to all the crazy thoughts that go through your head and ask, why do I do what I do? Why do I make the decisions that I do? And it's interesting because even when I look back in hindsight of many of the decisions that I've made in life, some of those decisions were made out of envy, out of jealousy, out of not having the status or the title that I wanted. And I only realized that 4 or 5 years later. And at that moment, because I didn't step back, really disconnect and ask myself what it is what am I chasing?
Right.
So, and that's an ongoing thing with life, but I think
Morshad.
So that's that.
Listen. Okay, so you need to write a book because what you just said is key to life.
Yeah.
We have a key to you're a realtor. So there's a key. In order to unlock it, you got to turn it. You can have a key, but it's not going to help you open the door unless you stick it in the hole, right?
Exactly.
And the door's not going to open unless you turn the key.
Yeah.
And then it still won't open unless you push the door.
Yeah.
So there's so many parts to opening the door and walking through, and so many times George and I, because we're in ministry, and we sit with young couples and say, why do you want to get married?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea
Sure.
how much work goes into being married?
Yeah.
Because we make it look easy,
Yep.
right? You see us and we've been married all this time.
Yeah.
You see us and we have this nice house, and you think, do you have any idea how much work goes into this house?
Sure.
So it's about your why and knowing what your agenda is back here.
Yeah.
I call it the plethora. Back in your plethora, what are you really thinking?
Exactly.
And I love how you said a lot of the decisions that you made were not even because of you. It was because of somebody else.
So about 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I made this decision to leave my brokerage that I was with them.
Right.
And the reason why I said I was going to leave was because I needed to move into a different company that would allow me to expand and grow my business, have my own company, all this other stuff. Fast forward 5 years now, as I think about all of this, I'm like, you know what? I did that because in my previous brokerage, I wasn't promoted to manager. And that bothered me so much that I had to break myself apart and prove to someone else that I was capable and worthy.
Wow.
But that's not what I said to myself. At that point, I said to myself, I need to grow. I need to do this for my family. I need to do this for myself. I need to reach my potential.
Great.
So sometimes if we're not careful, we have, these, what's the word I'm looking for? These undercurrents of envy, jealousy, arrogance, of seeking fame, and status that ultimately don't really end up meaning anything. So
I love
it takes a level of maturity, but also I think step one is just disconnecting. The more that we can disconnect ourselves from, because it's only up until recently where we as human beings have this information overload.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because of this.
Yeah.
Scrolling.
Prior to that, people had moments of just seclusion and silence,
right,
where they were able to kind of explore all the different thoughts, feelings, and emotions that they're experiencing.
Right.
We don't do that anymore.
No.
Even in the bathroom.
Right.
Oh my goodness. A second before we go to sleep, we're scrolling, right, and we we have all that information and all that influence, and we go to sleep. We wake up, and again. So I think that's where we start. We start with trying to disconnect, and just kind of soak in our silence and figure out what it is that we're experiencing. What are the undercurrents of our decision making and our behavior process?
And being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And learning who we are.
Yeah.
Like you said, if I'm getting all my influence from here, is it really what Charlene wants and needs?
Yeah. And just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean that's good either. Like if you're being driven by envy, malice, and hatred,
right,
that's not okay.
No.
But you need to understand that's what's fueling the fire, and then redirect it. So it's not a matter of, figure out your emotions and feelings and then just let it control you. It's about figuring out your feelings, emotions, your the undercurrents of your decision making, your psyche, your mindset, and then asking, all right, is this correct or not? So there is a fine line between your emotions, feelings, and your rationale. But we drifted off very far.
No, we did not. Because everything you're saying, it doesn't sound like you're a real estate. Is that your title, real estate agent?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like you don't see that when it comes to making a decision, buying a home. All those things are important to consider before you even sit down
Exactly.
to say, can I buy a home? You
Yeah.
first have to be honest with yourself and come to your, not your own conclusion, but the real conclusion of the matter.
Yeah.
Should I do this?
There's a lot of...
Can I?
A lot of folks will buy a home just so that they have a particular address or a zip code.
Right.
Hey, do you know where I live? This is where I live. It's so-and-so town.
Exactly.
So-and-so zip code.
Exactly.
But again, that's all for external validation.
Wow.
But I think
love it.
with that, we'll kind of wrap it up.
Yes. Listen, we're still going to do part 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
We'll do part 2.
Listen, everybody, this has been an amazing evening, and I want to thank you so much for taking out the time and your very busy schedule to sit on the couch and talk about real estate. We're just scratching the surface. I believe that if it's possible, even if you give me some topics, we'll go into a series. And we have a friend that's a contractor, and he'll talk about the importance of maintaining your home once you get it. So many different facets to it. But we're going to wrap it up and say thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Join me next time right here on the CharlieB Podcast. CharlieB out. Oh, Morshad.